Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and I am here to help you guys figure out your start and sit for the running back position. If you haven't already, check out my other start and sit videos. Again, week 12 is here, and let's jump right into it. Yes, week 12 of the NFL season is here. So we are talking start and sit for the running back position. If you haven't already, check out my other start and sit video. Hopefully you guys have been able to jump on those. We've got all kinds of great content to help you guys out with that because we are navigating a really tough bye week. We've got a lot of teams on bye this week, so we've got to figure out how can we navigate that, deal with injuries, things like that, and hopefully this video helps you guys out. Now, these are your obvious starts at the running back position. These are the few players that I believe no matter what, matchup is great, or they just get plenty of opportunities and they've just been, again, a safe floor every single week. Now, the first running back I'm going to mention as a good start is going to be Brian Robinson Jr. for the Commanders going against the Cowboys this week. Brian Robinson Jr. is a must start against a very, very poor Dallas defense. They gave up 3 touchdowns last week to Joe Mixon. He was running all over them, even with some of the injuries, some of the defensive players coming back from injury. It's not a big difference. Like at this point, anybody who's playing against the Dallas Cowboys should be in your lineup. They're allowing the second most points to the running back position. They're allowing 111 yards on the ground. And Robinson coming back has been great from his injury. He's been able to actually do a really good job. He's averaging just about 14 points a game, which is a really strong RB2, but he's got the ability to have a really RB1 type of performance this week. And of course, I want to mention Austin Eckler too in this kind of same game. If you have him, he should be in your lineup starting. Another running back I like this week is going to be Tyrone Tracy for the Giants, going against the Buccaneers defense, who definitely have some issues against the run. They are coming off of a bye week, which maybe that will help. But I will say this, even with the Giants changing their quarterback player and, going to DeVito and maybe some of this changes, I actually think this is a benefit for Tyrone Tracy. I think they're going to lean more on him. I think they're even going to lean on Singletary in this matchup. And the Bucs are allowing 16.7 points per game to the running back and have allowed an average of 6 receptions as well. So they're going to obviously get some receptions, get close to 100 yards. Like, this is a really good game for Tracy. I think this is going to be one that, again, even though the Bucs can possibly outscore this Giants team pretty quickly, especially with Mike Evans back, I do think Tracy has a lot of value. And the last running back I'm going to mention as a good start is going to be Kenneth Walker going against the Cardinals this week. Now, the Cardinals actually are about middle of the pack when it comes to stopping the run. So, don't expect a huge game, but they're still allowing 15.5 points per game. And Walker should be able to get very similar points. If he gets you that 15 to 16 points, you should be happy with that performance. Walker is averaging 18.4 points. So you want a little bit more, but this is going to be still a somewhat tough game. I think the Cardinals are going to play them pretty well. Kenneth Walker is going to have high upside RB2 with a little bit of low RB1 possibility this week. Cardinals have only allowed one 100-yard game, so again, that's something you've got to consider, but I still think Kenneth Walker is a good start. Now, jumping into the sits, I've got a couple names that you might be surprised, but the first running back I'm going to mention is Chuba Hubbard versus the Chiefs. A couple things you really got to consider with Hubbard this week. The Chiefs are the best at stopping the run. They are allowing the fewest points in fantasy. They're only allowing 50 yards per game. And on top of that, with the rookie Jonathan Brooks kind of making his debut this week, I'm curious how this is going to eat into Hubbard. I understand Hubbard got the extension. I understand obviously the Carolina Panthers are believing in him, but they still spent a good amount of draft capital to get Jonathan Brooks. They're excited to play him. They could have just not played him at all, but they want to. And the fact they don't really have a lot to fight for this year, maybe Brooks gets a little bit more action. So I'm a little concerned this week. Another big name that I really want to mention is going to be Jonathan Taylor versus the Lions. I don't like his matchup at all this week. Taylor hasn't scored since week 8 of the NFL, and he has struggled a lot the last 3 weeks. He's only averaging 10 points per game. And again, now faces a Lions defense that is only allowing 13 points per game. There's a huge chance that that Taylor gets scripted out of this game because the Lions' ability to score often and really running up the score, I think, is going to make a lot of pressure on obviously him, obviously Anthony Richardson. If you watch that start video, I'm not crazy about it. This is a really tough one. And the last running back I'm going to mention as a sit, it's going to be Kyren Williams versus the Eagles. In the last 3 weeks, Kyren has really struggled. He's only he's only averaged 10 points per game. And a lot of it, I think, is actually contributed to the fact that Cooper Kupp's back, Puka Nakua's back, and the offense really has kind of put everything back onto Stafford, really on this passing offense, and it's kind of hurt Kyren Williams the last few weeks. On top of that, Eagles are only allowing 11.2 points per game and keeping running backs to only 70 yards on the ground. And like a kind of the similar aspect with the Lions, the Eagles have a chance to obviously put up a lot of points, which could phase out Kyren Williams, putting a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford, putting a lot more opportunities for, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua this week. So again, Kyren's definitely a running back I would consider sitting. Now, sleepers, I've got Javonte Williams versus the Raiders. I know obviously, Estime's there and they talked about giving him more opportunities, but Javonte Williams was the better back last week and they've got a great matchup against the Raiders. And then I like Pacheco coming back from injury against the Panthers. Now, if Pacheco does end up sitting, Kareem Hunt absolutely is a must start against the Panthers. I think he's a great one. So those are my start sits and sleepers for week 12 at the running back position. If you guys haven't already, check out all my other start and sit videos for this week. Of course, if you have questions, hit me up in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Of course, hit that like button, and I'll check you guys out next time.